Jay Dyer is a right-wing talking head with over 50,000 followers on Twitter, and on September 27th, he made an open invitation to debate anybody who wants to talk about Nazis and the Bolsheviks being both funded by the same capitalistic powers. I respond by agreeing the Nazis were funded by the capitalists, but I wanted to debate him about his views on the Bolsheviks. He responds saying that it might be best if we discuss the ideas of epistemology and more metaphysical topics. Okay, well, maybe we could just focus on available facts and evidence and leave. If you have a different philosophy of history, then that's not possible. I reject the idea that there are brute facts. Okay, to save you guys the headache, let me just compile all of his responses and code it through my super special Gibber radar. I am too scared to debate. But in all seriousness, at the end, I agreed to all of his terms to debate, even if he wanted to debate philosophy as well. No response from him after that. So I turned off my phone and continued business as usual by driving over an hour to Clinton Township, Michigan to talk to the union auto workers. After a few hours of filming in the pouring rain, cold and sleep deprived, I hear a notification on my phone. Jay Dyer held a Twitter space in possibly the most inconvenient time. And I'm not talking about me already being preoccupied with the interviews, but this? Like, what is this? My viewer that responded to you told you to unblock me and ask me, which you didn't do. Instead, you just made a Twitter space that says, let's do it. But realistically, it might as well have said, I'm a pussy, so I'm gonna start the Twitter space without his discretion. Did he actually think he was brave doing this? Like, he might as well quit the debate 10 minutes in. I reply with a photo of me interviewing auto workers, saying that I'll be ready to debate tomorrow at 9 p.m. because my hands were actually full. And what he says next is honestly horrifically idiotic. Like, this response is so stupid, it genuinely scares me. Photoshop. He then makes another tweet basically saying, what's the difference if you do it now versus later? Bro, because I'm fucking busy. But you know what? Fuck it. I made a tweet saying I'll be on my way home ready to debate. But little does Jay Dyer know, he made the biggest mistake of his life.
That I actually think he was worse than Destiny in terms of his moral character. How he knew I was not able to fucking debate and still decided to insist it be held then and there anyway, banking on the chance I wouldn't show up, doing everything he can to weasel out, and then lying to his followers about what was going on. That's satanic, dude. That's really evil. And then worse, not even letting me speak in the space. Yeah, let's review the debate, because I actually want to get this off my chest. So I'm going to make the argument to you guys here so you can hear what I was trying to say. I'll talk about all the stupid shit he was saying. Let's go. We agree on a set.
Why are you whining about being inconvenienced when you can? I don't consider you worth a formal debate.
Okay. So at that point, anyone who wants to complain about civility, he just admitted that the reason he didn't want to have a formal debate is because he doesn't respect me. So if you refuse to respect me, I have the right to call you a and say that you should, which you should, by the way, because you're actually a cancer on humanity. Because people bitch and they're like, Haas, you were too mean to him. You were too hostile to him. Look what he just said. And all day, by the way, he was avoiding this as much as possible, and he did not expect me to join this space. And when I did join it, he kicked me in 3 minutes into the actual argument because he didn't want to debate. That's why he chose the most inconvenient time to do it. Okay, little bitch. Let's see. Okay, what do you want to talk about, Lenin?
This is all you have. So let's talk about materialism.
Yeah.
Would you like to convince people of materialism? You think it's true?
By the way, the first mistake Gay Liar who should made was when he claimed that the burden of proof, or he presumed that the burden of proof is on me to convince people of materialism. I have no intention of convincing people of materialism necessarily, because first of all, I wanted to debate about the Bolshevik Revolution and whether or not they were funded by the people you claimed they were. You didn't want to have that debate. You wanted to have a debate about philosophy. So since this is the topic you chose, the burden of proof actually shifts to you to prove why I should care about your philosophical position. Why is my materialism wrong? That's how it has to be. I'm not here to preach the gospel of materialism. I'm here to talk about the Bolshevik Revolution. You're saying that's not possible because we have to discuss philosophy. So the floor is yours, gay liar. Have at it. Tell me why my materialism needs to be re-examined in order so that I can disagree with you about the bare facts of whether or not Wall Street backed the Bolsheviks. This line of argumentation, make an argument for materialism. Gay liar, the burden of proof is on you, right? If you want to understand materialism, this is what I was trying to do. I can explain it to you because you don't seem to know what it is. But if you ask me, why am I a materialist? Because I see no reason to engage in metaphysical gibber. That's the whole point of materialism, so that the mind can be freed from being preoccupied with metaphysical gibber and focus on what matters instead. And what matters is focusing on the urgent task at hand of addressing the injustice facing mankind. I'm here to destroy you and violate you psychologically. That's what I'm here to do.
Why is materialism true?
Materialism is true. Again, it's a stupid question, by the way. Metaphysics is mental rot. It's mental laziness. It doesn't put the prejudices and dogmas that you have in your head.
Do you have an argument for...
Okay, so I began with an opening. The reason I'm a materialist is because I believe the metaphysical view is wrong. I believe it's mental rot, and I gave another description. And the reason I believe this is, do you have an actual argument? Well, I'm trying to give an argument, but you just cut me off. How can I give an argument if you don't let me speak, you fucking retarded Let's start with this. The metaphysical view is wrong because it's unnecessary, because it leads to mental stagnation, which prevents us from being able to address the real problems of mankind. Let's start with that. Or let's start with the view that I don't think metaphysics can be justified, that I think it's an unjustifiable dogma that is asserted over and against reality without paying for it in any way. And I think that leads to degradation and decay. And that's why I think it's wrong. So that's an actual argument. He didn't let me finish. Yes, I was finishing my argument, but you interrupted me.
That's an assertion.
You just said I made an assertion, but I wasn't even able to finish the sentence. I made an assertion and was trying to follow it up with a justification for why I was saying it. But you didn't even let me finish that because you're a fucking pussy who's scared to actually hear the arguments of your opponent.
It's an assertion, it's not an argument.
Well, materialism, as Marx understands it, consists in the rejection of metaphysics. By the way, Dialectical Materialism 101, if you open a Soviet textbook, is in contrast to metaphysics. So they'll say that the metaphysical view abstracts a part from the whole and elevates it to supreme ontological status. And that's what metaphysics is. Whereas dialectics is concerned with orienting mind toward the concrete whole, which is a union of contraries, or at least what appears to be contraries from the limited and finite perspective of the intellect. So that's the dialectical view, and it's 101. Dialectical materialism is about rejecting metaphysics. Idle dogmas of the mind and idols of thought and the mind, which are not proven or put to work in any kind of way practically.
Okay, what is the mind?
What is the mind? Why don't you actually just make your argument instead of asking these pedantic, sophist questions? What is the mind? The entire fucking book can be devoted to what the mind is. We all know what the mind is. Get to the point. Mind is what we call the faculty or the ability to produce thoughts. Mind is the unity of reason and the ideas.
Okay, those are all metaphysical statements.
No, they're not. Okay, so this is the point where Gay Liar slips on a pile of his own piss and starts drowning in a puddle of his own diarrhea feces and starts choking to death while being by 60,000 dogs. Because if you don't recall, just a minute earlier, Gay Liar made the accusation against me that I wasn't making an argument, but I was making assertions.
It's an assertion, it's not an argument.
So let's play back Gay Liar's argument. What we call the faculty or the ability to produce thoughts. Mind is the unity of reason and the ideas.
Okay, those are all metaphysical statements.
Okay, is that an assertion or is that an argument? Because I don't see any line of argumentation. I hear him assert something. I don't see a line of argumentation. So by his own line of reasoning, the only one that he actually employs in the debate so far, he is not justified in saying that because he's not then and there actually making an argument. Well, if you let him speak, he'll make an argument. And that's why you should, because that's literally what I was trying to do. If you let me finish, I also would have made a fucking argument. They will literally tell me that. If I tell them, hey, he just made an assertion, not an argument, they'd be like, well, just wait for him to elaborate. But what about me? Do I not get time to elaborate? They're actually mentally retarded. How the fuck does anyone who follows Jay Dyer see what just happened and not see how he just tripped on a pile of his own piss and started choking on his diarrhea? They're somehow making the claim that he's winning this. Can a single person justify what just happened? Because they claimed he won, if you believe it or not. They claimed he actually won. Let's continue.
Sure, you're saying that they have ontological status that has some kind of level of existence. To say that what exists is matter is a metaphysical claim.
That's once again an assertion, not an argument. We have to agree that this is what metaphysics means, that because something exists, that it's metaphysical. Well, by what justification? Certainly none you can even find in any reputable history of philosophy. No serious philosopher would agree to that claim. But forget about what philosophers think. So in Marxism-Leninism, if something exists, that doesn't mean it's metaphysical. Metaphysics very specifically refers to one-sidedly mistaking a part for the whole of reality and elevating that part to the status of supreme significance of all reality. So that's not what it means in the sense relevant to the book you claim this space is about debating. It certainly can't be about debating materialism in general because that's meaningless. We're talking about the materialism of Lenin's imperial criticism, which he himself said, do you want to debate about Lenin's materialism and imperial criticisms? He said that in the beginning of the debate. Let's continue. It's not a metaphysical claim because no one is saying, for example, that there's a given form of the mind that is not contingent on some kind of material process.
It doesn't matter.
Wait, that does matter though, because if a product of the mind or the mind itself is contingent upon a more concrete determination, then recognizing its existence wouldn't actually be metaphysical, at least as far as what that word means in Marxism-Leninism. Because you're not reducing the concrete whole to a specific part. You're not saying the mind has the supreme ontological significance, because it's just a part of a greater concrete whole. So it's not a metaphysical statement to say the mind exists. To get into the realm of metaphysics, I mean, technically speaking, within philosophy, technically speaking, that would be reducing the concrete whole as an object of thought. So if the concrete determination, which constitutes the concrete whole of reality, is to be translated into the terms or reduced into the terms of thought, then it's a metaphysical outlook. It's a metaphysical view. But if you make no such claim, if you don't say the concrete whole is an object of thought or a creature of some mind, then you're not engaging in metaphysics. It's actually pretty simple. This is like simple philosophy 101 that this idiot doesn't understand.
It doesn't matter because you're
Jay, the fact that things exist,
you're saying that it has a status of existence. That's a metaphysical claim. That's metaphysical 101.
No. Again, Jay Dyer just made an assertion. Jay Dyer just made an assertion, not an argument. He didn't make an argument, he made an assertion. Why did I make an assertion, not an argument, but this is an argument? Based on what? If you say the earth exists, that's not a metaphysical claim.
It is a metaphysical claim.
No, it's not.
It's status. It's granting modality.
It's a claim that is direct. No, it's not a metaphysical claim to say that the earth exists. For the very simple reason that you're recognizing the earth's existence to be part of a concrete determination which is not reducible to a creature of the mind, whether considered human or divine. As long as that concrete determination is not one of the mind, then it's not metaphysical. Or thought, it's not metaphysical. It's that simple. It's that simple. If an ordinary person says, I say the earth exists, is that a necessarily metaphysical claim? It's not. You don't need to contemplate metaphysics to say the earth exists. If I say the earth exists, it's not a metaphysical claim. or it's not necessarily a metaphysical claim at the very least, because in no way am I elevating that existence to the status of some kind of supreme horizon of reality and then asserting that upon reality. Existence by itself has no inherent metaphysical import as a sense, as a word, as a creature of language and communication. If I say this exists, I don't mean to say this exists qua the fundamental nature of reality. I mean, this exists right in front of you as an example for the purposes of argumentation, not in reality. And how is there a hidden idea or a hidden metaphysics? How can you prove that? You say, well, it's inevitably metaphysical when they think about it. How? Is it inevitably metaphysical? Well, when I think about it, it's inevitably metaphysical. Yeah, because you have your head up your ass. That's your problem, not theirs.
Saying that it has.
It's a claim that is practically relevant to the people living on it, so it's not metaphysical.
The fact practical doesn't mean that it's not metaphysical.
Yes, it does. If it's practical, then it's part of a concrete determination, which in no way is a product of contemplation, of idle contemplation of the nature of the universe. It's part of a whole, so to speak, that is not contained only in itself. Like, if I say the earth exists, saying that the earth exists as part of the whole complex of my practical reality of how I feed myself and clothe myself and interact with others and engage in labor and so on, and reproduce my existence physically and so on and so on. Part of a whole, let's say, a more concrete complex. If I say the earth exists, and then mean this in the sense of earth being abstracted from the entire concrete whole of reality, yes, it could very well be a metaphysical statement. Because obviously the earth is subjected to processes which will eventually be its undoing, right? The earth is not a static existence that has absolute eternal reality. The earth didn't always exist, and it won't always exist, right? So when I abstract the idea of the earth from the reality of the earth, which is the reality of a process or the reality of a dialectical development, then I am in fact engaging in metaphysics. But when an ordinary person says the earth exists, there is no such charged significance to the statement. In no way can you say they are necessarily abstracting it from the whole. It could very well be that they're saying it in the sense of, yes, Earth exists as part of all of, it's implicit in what you're saying, because it's relevant for you somehow practically. I'll give you an example of this distinction. If one says, okay, if I say the Earth exists, and the person goes, why does the Earth exist? And then I go, well, the reason the Earth exists is because it exists. Then that would indeed be a metaphysical statement. But if I say, well, the earth exists because I'm standing on it, then it's not a metaphysical statement. You see the difference? Metaphysicians try to make the assumption that you are thinking in a metaphysical way, but they can't prove it. They can't justify why that is. I don't have to care about the concept of existence to say the earth exists because I mean it in a sense which subordinates that statement into a concrete whole bigger than anything that can be contained as an object of contemplation. So you see the difference? Yes, it is, because metaphysics precisely consists in making claims about reality that have no practical significance.
Like saying that all reality is material. That's a metaphysical
that has
claim.
direct practical significance, because for a great period of mankind's history, the past, let's at least recorded history, we have made claims about reality and clung to those claims.
So you're just stating what reality.
Watch me try and make this argument, and I can't finish it because he keeps interrupting me. Watch.
That's a circular argument.
Because
reality is materialism.
He didn't even know what I was trying to say. He didn't even know what I was trying to say, this fucking retard. Straight up, he literally thinks he knows the argument I made, and he doesn't. He's responding to something he pulled out of his ass. He didn't even let me finish. And I'll explain what I was trying to say, because I don't have a retard screaming down my neck, preventing me from getting a word in. He spent a lot of time dabbling in jibber jabber in nonsense.
So you're at
Why are you
Reality is
interrupting me?
reality.
Why are you interrupting me? He's claiming I'm saying reality is reality. I was like, metaphysics consists in making claims that have no practical significance. He goes, like saying that all of reality is material. And then I said, no, that's actually not a metaphysical claim. Because for the majority of mankind's history, or the majority of recorded history, mankind has made claims about reality. And he goes, well, that's a circular argument. So in his mind, I was trying to make the argument that in mankind's history, we've made the claim that reality is material, therefore it's not metaphysical. And he keeps interrupting me, making it seem like this is my argument. But what I was actually trying to fucking say, and there's 3 times I'm trying to get this argument out, and he's fucking interrupting me, is that for the majority of mankind's history, we have spent a great deal wasting time focusing our minds on metaphysical gibber, which proves at the very least that it is possible for human beings to become confused in their head and focus on creating problems out of nothing while ignoring real ones. So the practical significance materialism has and can be proven is that it allows the mind to be oriented toward the actual problems mankind faces rather than ones that are purely the creatures of thought alone. So for a long time, we focus on metaphysical jibber jabber instead of focusing on curing hunger and disease and homelessness. So do you get what I'm saying? For a long period in mankind's history, there was a lot of death that didn't need to happen. There was a lot of tragedy that didn't need to happen because the intellect was focused on things that were not conducive to reproducing the conditions of his existence, which is real living human beings. You can't be a philosopher if you're starving. You can't be a philosopher if you die of disease. You can't think about philosophy if you're homeless or if you're being killed somehow. So metaphysics does not address the very premises of its existence. So my whole argument was that materialism does have practical significance. When we're materialists, we're not saying that we're materialists because we're making a metaphysical statement. We're saying we're materialists because we believe that humanity has the dignity and deserves to live and has that dignity and live in dignity. That's why we're saying it. We're saying that we should focus on unleashing the productive forces and raising the cultural and physical status of mankind. So materialism does have practical significance because it allows us to focus on specific things where we would otherwise get confused and focus on other things that we consider not to matter. Now that you know what my argument was, isn't it really fucked up he didn't even let me make it? Isn't it fucked up how 3 times he kept interrupting me in a Twitter space where his mic was much louder than mine? For the Twitter audience, at least, and for his debate on his end that he uploaded. That is practically relevant to the people living on it, so it's not metaphysical.
Well, the fact that you call it practical doesn't mean that it's not metaphysical.
Making a presumption about my argument and you can't justify that presumption? I wonder why you're so attached to metaphysics, because you love making presumptions you can't prove, and which, in fact, reality oftentimes disproves. Had I been able to make my argument, I would have disproven his presumption about what it actually, in fact, is. But he didn't let me finish my argument. It's not for the sake of materialism. It's for the sake of building a political party, building up humanity. It doesn't stem from a philosophical outlook. It stems from a fundamental commitment to humanity that is irreducible to a philosophical position. It's an active position. And it is in this sense that Marx says, philosophy has hitherto only interpreted the world, but the point is to change it. It is in this sense that Marx means that. You get it? Jay Dyer, knowledge which feeds people is not metaphysical. I'm saying this because it's the only way I can condense it in 5 words. Don't you think it's really fucked up how Jay Dyer is trying to make it seem like I said something absurd? Gay Liar is saying, oh, you're saying knowledge and feeding share the same identity? You don't even understand the point. Metaphysics has nothing to do with whether or not something is tangible sensuously. It has nothing to do with whether something is reducible to the senses. It has nothing to do with empiricism. That's irrelevant. Metaphysics is about the concrete whole. And what is the privileged site of relating to the concrete whole? Is it purely the intellect and thought, or is it a unity of opposites of the total complex of mankind as a material unity, a dialectical unity, which relates to the whole? In the latter case, you're not dealing with metaphysics. In the former case, you're dealing with metaphysics, okay? Metaphysical is like Mendelian genetics.
What is the knowledge there in that sentence?
What is the feeding in that sentence? So why did I say this? The same thing. So why did I say this? This guy's trying to misconstrue this to mean that I said they're the same identity, which is just extremely bad faith, and anyone with two brain cells to rub together knows what I meant by this. I didn't mean they share the same identity. I mean it's the same argument, you fucking idiot. It is the same argument. Saying that knowledge or inquiring upon the existence of knowledge proves metaphysics would be like saying inquiring upon the existence of feeding proves metaphysics. So I'm saying it's the same argument. It's the same thing as relevant for the purposes of argumentation. Oh, I didn't elaborate on that because anyone with common sense knows what I meant. Can a single person justify Gay Liar's claim that I said they share the same identity instead of sharing the same, that they're the same thing for the purposes of this argument, that neither prove metaphysics and both are materially real? According to my understanding of materialism, in contrast to metaphysics, that acknowledging the existence of knowledge needs to be no more metaphysical than acknowledging the existence of feeding. And that, in fact, when you ask questions like, and let's say I say the sky is blue, and someone goes, well, what is blue? Yeah, you're going to start dabbling in metaphysics when you look for the absolute definition of a word, because you're elevating that word to the status of a perfect form with a perfectly self-contained, hidden scholastic definition somewhere that has a beginning and ending which is absolute, and that is indeed metaphysical, because it's an abstraction from the concrete whole of language that gives sensibility and meaning and context to the word, and sense to the word. Right? So that is metaphysics, to just sit and gibber about definitions. That is metaphysics, right? Because every time we use a word, it's within the context of a greater whole, right? How does this guy have a following? How does Gay Liar have a following where people are like, yeah, Gay Liar, you're so right? How, though? Can someone just explain it for us? Like, pretend we're not as educated as you. Can you educate at least one of us and explain how Gay Liar is in the right here? Can you explain it? Go ahead and fucking explain it. Probably not, right? You can't. Yeah, you probably can't, right? Yeah, the reason you're following Gay Liar is because he's supplementing your porn addiction, right? He's giving purpose and meaning to your porn-addled existence.